Hey, what's going on, everybody? Well, we are back today, and what we're going to be working on is actually our front porch pond. I don't know if you remember when we built this thing, but last spring I thought I'd really like to have a pond on my front porch where we can put, you know, something kind of cool in there, and we ended up putting three-eyed fish, which is the golden wonder killifish, which I now have in a tank inside. We're not going to go back into this pond with those golden wonder killies. We actually have something else going in there. We'll talk about that later on in this video. This pond has been just stored for almost 8 months now. As you can tell, this thing is completely filthy and needs a really good cleaning, and we're going to go ahead and get that done today. What we're going to start with doing here is, as I've told you before, I like to use this laundry basket to wash gravel. So what we're going to start with is actually dumping this old gravel from this pond into this laundry basket. Woo! Good Lord, that smells not very pleasant for sure. So we're going to wash this. I honestly don't know though. I'm not sure that I want to use gravel in this time. We may use a combination of gravel and sand. Hopefully you guys like it. Let me know in the comments what you think. So now it's just a matter of washing this tub out completely, and we're gonna have to scrub it with something. So I'm gonna have to go find a brush of some sort because this thing is filthy. It's got all kinds of algae in it just from sitting. As you can see, not overly dirty, but it does have a lot of stuff in it. All right, well, we got this thing completely cleaned out now. We're rinsing it out real quick, and then we just need to go over and sit it where it's gonna go. So when I built this pond, I actually purposely built it this way for the simple fact that I would be able to pick it up and adjust and move and everything else. Hey guys, I wanted to stop for just a second and give a little shout out to somebody. Brienne's Fish Fam. You're gonna find a card for her channel right above here. It's a great thing that her and her dad are doing on her channel, building out a fish room, sharing the hobby with people. And as a close-knit family that we are in this aquarium hobby, everybody kind of knows everybody. So I think we should do a really good job of being kind and supporting one another. So this is what this is about. Make sure you go check out Brienne's Fish Fam. Make sure you comment on our latest video and let her know that Christopher Scott sent you over to check her out. Thanks everybody, I appreciate it. Let's get back into this video. The next thing we have to do is go ahead and get the waterfall head cleaned out and then get this lava rock back in it. We also need to get this DIY filter box cleaned out. And if you'd like to see how I built this filter box and why I built it this way, I'll link a card up above on how I did that in the video where I made that. Well, now that we have the waterfall head back in here, we want to go ahead and place our filter box here. And the filter box has a skimming function to it, and that's why you have this opening at the top. It'll provide some mechanical filtration. So before we put this pool filter sand in here, I want to take these rocks and I want to just kind of lay them over top of this hose. And that's really just to keep it pushed down. So when I fill this up with sand, there's no way for that hose to kind of come up. So we've added some gravel, and really this is just for aesthetics. So the only thing really left is to get some water in here and get this pump turned on to see if it still works. And it does. Well, we've got our pump going. We have our waterfall head working. We have everything going in here. So what we need to do is go ahead and dechlorinate this water. We're gonna use this stress coat by API for ponds. And for this size pond, we're gonna need about a tablespoon of this stuff, which is about what's in this cap here. We'll get that in there, let that start working. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna use some of this Stresszyme Plus, which is a nitrifying bacteria or a live bacteria. And we're gonna go ahead and add this too. Well, this pond build has taken a lot longer than I had expected it to, because here in Texas, which it's April the 21st today that I'm filming this segment, we dropped down into the upper 30s last night. Don't have a clue what that's about. Coldest weather we've had in over 100 years at this time of year. I obviously couldn't, in good faith, put these fish into that pond with it being that cold last night. I do have a heater in this pond, keeping the water temperature at a pretty steady pace, but it still was not gonna combat that type of weather. So we are back up into a normal temperature today. We are not gonna be dropping into any kind of cold temperatures like that again. So we're gonna go ahead and actually add some of these plants to the pond today. And really the reason is we want hides for these baby fry. So what I've decided is we're going to be using these black marble mollies that are in this bucket here that have been acclimating for quite some time. I've been taking cups of water out of the pond and putting them into this bucket. We have fully acclimated them at this point. We just need to temperature acclimate them, and then we can go ahead and get those in there today as well. So let's go ahead and get up here, pick out some plants that we're gonna put in this pond and get those in there. So what I'm doing here is I'm gathering up a few different types of plants. So these plants aren't doing overly great in this tank right here. I'm not really sure why, considering the other plant tanks are doing fantastic. I'm gonna have to do some water testing on that to kind of figure out. Maybe it's a nutrient problem, I'm not really sure. But we're gonna get these guys out of here. I did not treat this substrate like I treated the other substrates, so it has to be a nutrient deficiency of some sort, but I gotta figure that out. But we have a little tiny Amazon sword here that's gonna go out there. Then we also have a couple of these kleiner bar swords that are gonna go as well. I think I'm gonna grab a couple of these Java ferns and go ahead and drop those in there and let those float. I may have one or two float and then maybe have a couple of them actually attached to rocks or something. And then we're also gonna put a lot of hornwort in here. And I've got a lot of hornwort growing in this tank. And if you saw my previous videos where I talked about setting up this plant tank, if you notice how much hornwort I have just in this one little bunch right here, and I probably have bunches this big, probably 15 or 20 more of these. And this all started from one little piece about this big right here. This stuff grows crazy fast, it's super hardy. It's also great for naturally removing nitrates from the water. Really, really fantastic plant. And it also makes really good hides for these baby mollies when they're born. We'll take a bunch of that. Let's see what else, if there's anything else we want to grab. I think that'll be it for right now. We are going to go into the other fish room where we have other planted tanks, and we're going to go ahead and get us some frog bit as well as a floating plant. Well, now that we have all of our plants ready to go ahead and get outside and start planting these things. So I've thrown some plant remnants out here, and actually we have some baby Java fern that are in here that I put into this pond, and we'll just let those self-attach if they do, or they'll float. They're doing fantastic. This is a tropical plant that wasn't doing too well, and I threw it out here and actually started growing again. So I have to check to see if this is safe for fish, but we're gonna leave that in there for right now. There's some anacris that's in here that started to grow that's just kind of just in here as remnants, and then there's some red rotala. And honestly, I was cleaning out a bucket that had some remnants in it, and I just decided to toss it in here as a holding place. I may leave some of this in here, I don't really know yet. What I want to do is go ahead and get these plants that we picked out planted. So before planting this, I've actually placed some of the API root tabs down into this substrate, just simply because this substrate is not nutritional in any way, shape, or form, as it is just simply pool filter sand. Now, some of these, such as the Java fern, is just simply going to float. So we're just gonna leave those kind of in here and let those float around on their own. Now, these kleiner bar swords, which definitely need to be planted, as well as this little Amazon sword, we're gonna go ahead and plant those in here now. There's no method to where I'm kind of planting this. I'm literally just kind of putting it down, and then we'll make sure that it stays into the substrate. The purpose of them is to provide some sort of hide for these mollies when they are born. So we may actually come back and attach these Java ferns to a rock at a later time, but for right now, they're just fine. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and place our hornwort, which this hornwort will grow very fast inside of this pond, just like it does in the tanks. And I grabbed a ton of frog bit. So frog bit is a great plant as well to provide hides, because they have these long root systems on them, as you can see, and they hang down in the water, and fry like to swim up and hide inside of that. So we'll put a lot of this out here as well. And really what I'm doing here is just trying to flip it over. It'll flip on its own eventually, but just want to kind of get it flipped over. And we have a lot of this frog bit, as you can see. Well, with that, I think it looks fantastic. I think it's a perfect little breeding pond for these mollies. So really all we have to do now is just simply get the mollies in here. So we're gonna go grab that bucket, we're gonna start acclimating them. We'll go ahead and cup acclimate them over the next 20 to 30 minutes or so, and then we'll just simply dump the entire bucket with all the fish in here. So we got all these beautiful little mollies in here. They're swimming around, and I'm sure that they are completely loving this. In consideration the fact that they've lived the last few days in a bucket, I think they're gonna do fantastic in here. We have plenty of plants, we have plenty of hides for their babies. I noticed when I put these guys in here that there are a couple of females that are big pregnant. In fact, there is one right there. So we should be having babies very soon, but I will make sure that I keep you guys up to date as far as when these babies are born. But I think that this is going to be a great project for this pond, is breeding mollies. As many guppies as I've bred, I've actually never bred mollies, so this is a new thing for me. I'm sure that they are very simple, very much like the guppy, however, I've never done it. So if you guys have any recommendations, drop those in the comments and let me know. We're also going to be focusing on breeding some other live bears, things like balloon mollies, swords, things of that nature, so stay tuned for all of that. With all that, hopefully you guys enjoy the plants that we put in here. These new little black marble mollies, they're beautiful. Can't wait to see the babies on these guys. Well guys, hopefully you went on to enjoy this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy this new pond and the fish that we put in there, all of the plants and everything of that nature. Thank you so much for watching the videos. I really truly appreciate it. And with that, we will see you next time.